Hello guys and girls, I'm Thomas Finn Jameson. On my channel you'll find reviews, music, comedy and more. Today is going to be a lists and rankings video. I'm going to be counting down my top 10 greatest albums of the 2010s decade. Listened to a lot of music this decade. A lot of it was rather brilliant. So without further ado, keep things loose and relaxed. I'll refer to my notes and I'll count down my favourite albums of the decade. Starting at number 10, we open with Tyler the Creator, Cherry Bomb. So, hip-hop to kick things off, why not? My favourite genre. I listened to this album a lot when I was schooling in York, doing A-levels and what have you. The album has an in-your-face attitude, also at times it's lighter, and there's some really nice, really beautiful melodies on here actually. The track's in all capitals, letting you know it's going hard. It doesn't dilly-dally with its approach like the opener Death Camp. It's kicking things off, with the bang, and it's quite dark. Oh yeah. This was the first full-length Tyler the Creator album that I heard actually. Standout tracks, Two-Seater, particularly the second half, love it. Effing Young and Perfect, Keep the O's, Buffalo, and particularly my favourite track, Smuckers, with Kanye West. Great memories for, listening to that. And I remember the first time I heard Smuckers, I was on my way to college and played it, saved it on my phone, played it for the first time. I was like, oh yeah, you've got proper raw Kanye, Tyler really being excellent on the song, and the whole album works on many levels. Number 9, Kid Cudi, Passion, Pain and Demon Slaying from 2016. Cherry Bomb was released in 2015. 9th entry, Kid Cudi, Passion, Pain and Demon Slaying from 2016. I will repeat. It's an album I gave a whoa Nelly review to. Feel free to go and watch that. Every single track knocks with a kicking beat. I enjoyed it in 2016. I heard it when it first came out, and then I re-listened to it with my mum in the Candlelit Card Playing with Music series that I do with the family, and I enjoyed it on a whole other level. I just enjoyed it a lot more. I think Cudi is a really interesting artist. I love some of his music. As for the tracks on here, you know what? They're all good. Number 8, 8th greatest album of the decade in my opinion. Coldplay, Milo Xyloto from 2011. I've been a fan of Coldplay since I was a kid. I found I was overplaying their music somewhat and took a break from them. Then this year I played many hours of their music, and they're my most played artists on Spotify of the year. Brian Eno was a guest on the album, and his presence is certainly felt as a master musician. The album is fun, it's vibrant, and at times emotive. Standout tracks, I love Princess of China, love it. Rihanna gave great vocals on there as well. She was also responsible for the album Anti, which is not in this list, but also a great album from this decade. An honourable mention there for Anti by Rihanna. Up With the Birds, great song, emotional, and Every Teardrop is a Waterfall. The latter being the first song that I heard playing on the radio when moving into a house in Sutton, which was a nice thing. Number 7, Kanye West, The Life of Pablo from 2016. This album is tremendous by the one and only Kanye West. This was released while I was at college again in York. I enjoyed it very much and it had great replay value. The album was delayed several times, name was changed. So Help Me God and Waves were names for the album at one point. There are many great tracks, including Famous, which I used in my Pure Cinema piece, One of the Greats, available on my channel. I love Fade, that'll be the best track for me. A really cool music video. If you haven't seen the music video for Kanye West's Fade, go and see it, it's really cool. Set in a gym, and this woman dancing to the tune, it's really great stuff. I love Saint Pablo, is a cool story here. So I went to go and see War Dogs, the film with, shout out to Miles Teller, directed by Todd Phillips at View in Clifton Moor. And I'd saved St. Pablo to listen to on the way back from seeing War Dogs at the cinema because it was added late to the life of Pablo, St. Pablo. And so I listened to the track on the way home, cranked it in the car, driving home at about like midnight, and just cranked the song, which has religious elements. And I pulled up to the house called Church House, and it was just really cool, just listening to that over and over on the way home several times. I also love the line from that song, "Skate on a paradigm and shift it when I feel like," which I have referenced before. Is the life of Pablo great? Great? Oh, it is. Number 6, sixth greatest album of the 2010s, I would say, is Nasir by Nas from 2018. So sometimes at college, in between lectures, I'd look and see what Nas and Kanye were up to musically. And years later, Kanye produced all of Nasir, with Nas, it's his album, of course, rapping on every track. And when I saw that Nas and Kanye were collaborating like this on a full-length project, I thought, I want to have it! Accepted reference. Really got into Nas around 2015. Illmatic and such. Nasir is perhaps my favourite Nas album. That's my opinion. You're welcome to it. Best tracks, Cop Shot the Kid. Whew, man, amazing. The whole LP, as Ye would say, it's amazing, so amazing, definitely. Bonjour and many others, but most of the tracks, pretty much all of them, are splendid. Great beats for Nas on the album by Kanye, which Nas doesn't always get the best beats, but he did on Nasir. The cream of the crop. Number 5, I would say, Kids See Ghosts, self-titled, from 2018 also. Great year for Kanye, 2018. So I remember playing Fire, the best track on Kids See Ghosts, for my mother, and her jaw dropped. That was a really cool moment. It's a great album and collaboration between Kanye and Cudi. The two get together like Brill cream on hair. I said, God dang! Although some of it is quite maudlin, it really is. The album is very emotive, and it does, on a serious note, address some of their mental health issues experienced, by Kanye and Cudi. However, as Kanye put it, he could still feel the love. Fire, Feel the Love, Reborn, Ace. And as for the whole album, I can say, I'm feeling this! Blink-182 reference. Fourth greatest album of the 2010s, I would say, is Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, from 2010. Now, this was Kanye's first album after the Taylor Swift stage disruption moment. Kanye went to Hawaii with a lot of famous collaborators to really go in and try and create something remarkable. The result is a raw and refined masterpiece. Some artists maybe would not have fared as well after controversy, but Kanye gave the world an incredible album. I really connect with Runaway, my favourite track by far on the LP. Most of the tracks, pretty much all of them, are great. Every song is a smash. Monster, I was seeing some mates in Scarborough, and we were in a nightclub, and they were trying to convince me to dance, and they knew I was a Kanye fan, and they put on Monster, and I sort of joined in a little bit, so that was cool. Ye said he considers the album to be perfect in an interview with Zane Lowe, then said he's not here to make perfect, he's here to push things forward, if you like. This is my favourite album in the Candlelit Card Playing with Music series. That playlist, the best of, is available on my Spotify. So there you go. Number 3, The Avalanches, Wildflower, from 2016. The Avalanches, to me, are the greatest band of all time. With this second album, there was a 15-year gap, which you could say is extreme! The album is great sampledelia, absolutely, 100%. It's a romp 1 minute, and then poignant the next. I'd single out Saturday Night Inside Out and If I Was a Folk Star as two of the best tracks. There you got Subways, colours, harmony. The sonic flow is awesome, hence it being number 3 on the list. So, the second greatest album of the 2010s, in my opinion, is Justin Timberlake, The 2020 Experience, Part 1 from 2013. So I heard this album the first time on the train, going on a school trip to a London art gallery, and I felt like telling other people on the train, seriously, you gotta listen to this, and I did to mates. I was like, this is something else. I'd heard and liked some of JT's music. I'd say Suit and Tie was a moment where I really became more of an admirer of his work and music. Since hearing 2020 Experience Part 1, I've read his book, enjoyed many of his films, and I consider him one of the great artists, musically and in general. When hearing the album for the first time in 2013, Blue Ocean Floor was my favourite by far. You know, sort of a kind of a ballad type thing. I still love that song. Now I'd select Don't Hold the Wall as the best track. If you know, you know. Timbaland's production, the production of the whole thing is sublime. Every track I really enjoy, including on the deluxe version with, say, Body Count. So now we get to my favourite album of the 2010s decade. The greatest album of the 2010s decade, in my opinion, is Kanye West, Yeezus from 2013. So this album really elevated my perspective on music. On first listen, it brought me to tears. It was so powerful and well made. I love the accompanying interview Kanye did with Zane Lowe around the release of Yeezus. Very interesting. There's so many things to pick up on in that interview, and I do go back quite often to watch that. Very interesting. It's the greatest album of the decade because it's sonically incredible. The content and the lyrics are ambitious and personal. At times softer, you know what I mean? Like at times kind of like more on the emotional side of things, if you like. It helps that the album was made by, in my opinion, the greatest musician of all time, Kanye West. The opener on Sight, perhaps the most balls to the wall opening song of any album of the decade, if not longer. You know, all the tracks really are ace. Black Skinhead, I mean, that was huge when that came out. And Bound 2, the more sort of like romantic or explicit too, but you know, that closed the album. I've warmed to Bound 2 over the years. I wasn't a huge fan initially, but I have warmed to it over the years. But the best track for me would be Blood on the Leaves, which is just, you know, the production on that is just next level, you know, and it's one of Kanye's best songs in my opinion. So I heard this album at the right time in my life, I would say, and I would rate it as the greatest album of the decade. And I would say Kanye and the album are genius, genius, genius! Mr. Deeds reference. So, with that, I want to say thank you for watching, guys and girls. Feel free to like, comment, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud for my music, Spotify for my playlists, and Letterboxd for my reviews and lists. I recently reviewed Life Aquatic on Letterboxd, my first written review in a while. You know, so you can, I'll put a link for that below actually, and you can read that review, my first review since April of 2019, recording this in December 2019. So, TFJ's 2, the Spotify playlist, will be coming soon. So, with that, I say, take it easy.